Hello and happy Friday. So notice we have reached the last page in the packet that I have given you. So what that means is you need to go on your email, go on Google Classroom and look next week or at the end of this week, which is today, for the email. I will be sending out the new pages for next week. They're going to be very similar to the pages we've been doing at the beginning of this packet. They will be new concepts for the most part. Some will be review, and you need to either print those pages out and solve the problems, or what you can do if you do not have a printer or you cannot print the pages, or you simply do not want to print the pages, that is fine. I need you to write the title, what lesson number it is, the date, and your name on a lined piece of paper. Just show all of your work. So solve each problem, put the number, show me your work. If you are solving any of the problems where it's multiple choice, just put any work that needed to go with that problem and your answer, A, B, C, or D. Okay, so that is something that I'm going to need you to do from next week going till the end of the year. All right, I just wanted to give you a heads up on that, but let's go ahead and get into today's work. So for today's work, for the problems that I know you can do by yourself, I am not going to go over it with you. So for this first problem, 12%, they want you to take that, write as a fraction and a decimal. I know we can do this. So I am going to have you pause right now, try it on your own, come back and check your answer. Thank you. All right, here's our answer. So for 12%, the fraction version is 12 out of 100, and decimal is 12 hundredths. You could reduce this fraction, but if you gave me this as your answer, that is fine. Okay, let's look at the second problem. The second problem, GCF, greatest common factor. So we practice this a lot. If you have your notebook, check back in your notebook, check back on what we did before. I want you to try it on your own. Come back and check your answer. Okay, for greatest common factor, it's just the largest number that can be factored out of 12 and 16. So I went ahead and did the upside down birthday cake method. You could do any method. You could also just write the factors for 12 and 16. Look at which one they have in common or which ones they have in common. Look for the greatest one they have in common. That would be your answer. And the answer is 4. Okay, for the next one, this is something we've practiced a little bit. So they're giving you this problem. They want you to write an expression. So you're just showing me what would you do to find the answer for how much candy each friend receives. So would you add, subtract, multiply, divide? Show me the expression. Come back and check and see if you got it right. Okay, so C is the total amount of candy. That means we're going to take the total amount of candy. We are dividing it. So when it says give equally means we're dividing. So we're dividing that among how many friends he has, which he has 6 friends. So this is our expression. If you wrote it as C over 6 as a fraction, that would also be correct. Either or could be correct. Okay, the next one is a little extra steps, but for the first part, I want you to go ahead and find the area of the rectangular nightstand by yourself. So go ahead and multiply the length and the width, or the base and the height. Those words are interchangeable. And then after you find that, come back and check what I found, and then we'll figure out the second part of this question together. So find the area first. The area, which is part of the problem, is 1,176 inches squared. But that is not all they want us to do. They want us to know, or they want us to find out how many quarts of paint will Beth need to cover the entire nightstand. So if this is the total area she's trying to cover, we need to see how many quarts will she need. Well, if each quart is going to paint about 350 square inches, we need to see how many 350 square inches goes into this. So we can divide, but another thing you can do is just what I did, which I felt was a little bit more simple. I just set it up as multiplication. So if I have 1 quart, that's going to give me 350 square inches. So I can't paint the whole thing. I want to see what number gets to 1,176. If I have less than that amount, that means I need to go 1 quart up. So 2 quarts yields 700 square inches. 3 quarts of paint will give me 1,050 square inches, which is very close to our area. But if I only get 3 quarts of paint, it's going to be very disappointing that I cannot paint the whole thing. So I need to go one step above and get another quart, which would yield 1,400 square inches of paint that I can use to cover the entire nightstand. I'll have some extra left over, but that is okay. So final answer, 4 quarts of paint. That's how much you will need. Okay, let's solve the last problem together. The grades on a social studies quiz are shown below. Make a box plot for the data. Okay, so we are going to have a lot of work that we need to accomplish here. So first things first, I want you to rewrite these numbers from least to greatest. So go ahead and write that, come back, and then we'll move on. All right, so I went ahead and rewrote these numbers from least to greatest. Now we need some information to make our box plot. First, our minimum number. Minimum number is just the smallest number in the data set, 63. Then we need to make sure we find the maximum number, which is the greatest number in our data set, 100. Then I need you to find the median. Median just represents the middle number in the data set. So the best thing that I do, or what I usually do, is I put one finger on the least number, one finger on the greatest number, and I keep moving till I get to the center. I already did this, and what I noticed when I went to the center of the data, I ended up with 2 numbers in the center, 81 and 87. I need to find the middle number between those two. So first, let's add those numbers. 81 plus 87 gives us 168. Then I want to find between those numbers, so I need to divide by 2 because we had 2 numbers. So 168 divided by 2 gives us 84. So 84 is the middle number that's between 81 and 87. Next, we need to find Q1, which stands for the lower quartile. So remember, the numbers that ended up in the middle were 81 and 87. Now we find the median, the middle number for our least numbers. So between 63 and 81. We want to see what is the middle number there. So 63, cross out 81, cross out 75, cross out 80. We are going to find the number between 76 and 78, which would be 77. Q3, that is the middle number in our upper quartile of numbers, which would be between 87 and 100. So 87, 100, 89, 95. So the middle number there would be 91, 91. There's nothing between 91. So Q3 is actually just 91. Okay, we have the numbers needed for our box plot, so let's go ahead and make it. Okay, for the box plot, we are actually making first a number line. Our least number is in the 60s, so I'm going to go ahead and just put 60, and I'm going to increase by 5. So I apologize, that should be a 70. I'll come back and fix it. Okay, so we're increasing by 5s, and we're going to keep going until we reach 100. Okay, now for each number that we found, we're going to draw a little dot above that number. So 63 is our minimum number. That would be approximately right here. A little closer to 65 than 60. 100 is our maximum number. 84 was our median. So I'm going to draw a dot above where 84 would be. 77 is our Q1 lower quartile number, and 91 is our upper quartile number. Now to make it into a box plot, we make a box of those inner 3 numbers or values. It's just like that. And then connect the minimum and connect the maximum and minimum numbers by just drawing a line, and you are done. Okay, for the back page, I want you to try this one and this one by yourself. Actually, this, and this. I want you to try those 3 by yourself. Come back, check your answers, and then we'll go over the bottom 2 together. Okay, I hope you tried it on your own, and now let's check the answers. So for the top question, simply dividing. So you can find out per 1 second. So 2 cups per second. And then the number that is less is -36. Remember, negatives are always the least numbers, but because we have 2 negative numbers, the best thing to figure out which one is the least is to put them on a number line. The one that's closest to the left is always the least number. And for the next one, we were simply using the distributive property, which we did practice in class, and you're just multiplying the number on the outside of the parentheses by the numbers on the inside of the parentheses. So 6 times 7e plus 6 times 3, which gives us an equivalent expression of 42e plus 18. All right, the next one is some area. The big difference, though, is we have the length of the base and we have the area already given to us. So a triangular sail has a base length of 2.5 meters. The area of the sail is 3.75 square meters. How tall is the sail? So we want to know what the height is. So for me, I'm more visual, so I'm going to go ahead and sketch out what that might look like. So I don't know the height. I do know the base. So that's probably what it could look like. That could be the sail. And then I do know total area is 3.75 meters. Okay. Oh, meters squared. I almost forgot my squared. Oh my gosh. Glad I figured that out. Okay, now, so when we find area, we always multiply the base times the height. And then, remember, this is a triangle, so we divide by 2. So, for us to find out what the missing number is, we would actually need to go backwards. So instead of dividing by 2, we would want to take our area we currently know about. We would want to multiply by 2 because the opposite of it, the inverse of division, is multiplication. So we're going to want to multiply by 2. And then when we find the area, we usually do base times height. Well, the opposite or the inverse of multiplying is dividing. So once we multiply this by 2, we are going to divide by the base number, which our base number is 2.5. Okay, so I set it up for you. I want you to solve this, come back, and check your answer. Okay, so 3.75 times 2 gives us 7.5. Bring down divided by 2.5. 7.5 divided by 2.5 is 3. 3 meters is the height. Okay, for this next one, I have already gone over with you how to find the mean. I've gone over with you how to find the median. And I've gone over how to find the mean absolute deviation. So I want you to pause this video, find those 3 things, and then we'll find the interquartile range together. And when it says round to the nearest tenth, if you, for rounding, say it's 2.58. If it's 2.58, we want to look at the 10th number. Well, 5 is our 10th number. Well, we want to look next door. If it's 5 or greater next door, this will round up. So it would be 2.6, okay? If, say, it was 2.54, it's less than 5, then it would just stay as 2.5, okay? Also, if it said 2.98 or 99, then again we would look, is that greater than 5? Yes. This rounds up to 10, which makes this one actually bump up to 3, which would be a whole number. So just be aware of rounding. That's just an example of rounding, okay? Go ahead and try those 3 things. Come back and check your answers. So for median, you're just finding the middle number in the data set. There's actually an odd number of numbers in the data set. So 4 is the number that lands right in the middle. Median is 4. For the mean, we need to add all numbers in the data set, which that comes out to 34. Then we need to divide by how many numbers we have. 34 divided by 7, we received 4.9, which this is the rounded version. I think it came out to like 4.85 or something like that, but it rounds to the nearest tenth, which is 4.9. Okay, this number we need to use to find the MAD. Remember, to find the MAD, we find the distance between the mean number and each number in the data set, so we're subtracting. So 4.9 minus 1 gives us 3.9. So we do that for each number in the data set. Once we have those numbers, we are adding those numbers. Then we do the same thing as we did for the mean. Add those numbers, how much each number deviates from the mean, which it came out to 20.9. Then we divide by how many numbers we had that we added, which there were 7 numbers, and this actually came out to like 2.98 or 99. And since we're rounding to the nearest tenth, it actually rounds all the way up to 3. So 3 would be our final answer. Let's go ahead and find the inner quartile range together. So for inner quartile range, I'm just going to rewrite my data set. Okay, so this was our median, right? Now, what is our upper quartile range? Upper quartile range would be, what is our Q3? Q3 is the number in the middle, which is 8. Okay, what is our Q1? What's our lower quartile number? Well, that is 1. To find the interquartile range, which it stands for IQR, we just subtract the quartile range, or the Q3 for the upper quartile, which is 8, and we subtract that with the lower quartile of 1, and we receive 7. So 7 is the inner quartile range. All right, I hope you understood this. Don't forget to check out for the emails that will be coming for our work for next week. And make sure you're going on Google Classroom, submitting your work, sending us your pictures of the work you have accomplished so I can give you credit. Either submit it on Google Classroom or send me an email. Either would work, or if you're on Instagram, you can always send me the pictures of the work you have done through there. All right, hope you have a great rest of your day and enjoy your weekend. See you on Monday.